Welcome everybody to the X Factor podcast. Today we have a great episode coming your way live on this April 2nd day of the after April Fools. um Let me know what you did for Easter. Let me know, what April Fool's joke you pulled off on whoever you did on your family or whatever. Um we're going to get right into it here. Monday Night Raw happened last night. Get right into it, straight to the deal. First, follow the TikTok Olas for TikTok, or follow the Twitter Olas for any other content by me. Mostly on the TikTok, you'll get that, or the Twitter. Gonna be posting more on the TikTok here real soon with the NFL draft coming up. My mock draft will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So that will be all fully in for y'all to, enjoy and mock or do whatever you want with it. I don't give a damn. Um, but it'll be my first one fully as, well, actually be my second one as part of the X Factor podcast community. My first one last year, I did all right with it. Some of the draft picks that I thought they would do good did do good. Um, some of them surprised me, So, um, so we're gonna get right into it here. Talk about Monday Night Raw. Starts out with The Rock coming out, um, and you know, like I said, the whole thing that's been going on with The Rock, and with fans being upset from the start about the whole Cody Rhodes situation. I've was upset about Rock coming in and doing all of it, taking the spotlight from others, but this last week and a half or a couple of weeks, the last month of this build up makes you be like, The Rock's carrying Roman Reigns. That's just the truth. That's just a true fact. We've seen it. Roman has been dragging himself through the whole thing. Um, which tells me also that this could be the end for his title run. Because they're making him look weak, next to The Rock before having to come out to lose to Cody or whatever. But Brock comes out, beautiful entrance, gets a new Titantron of him, and then it goes to dun dun, and next thing you know, it's the final boss thing, and then it's the Hollywood theme. It fits The Rock so well that, like, I was sitting there watching it, and I'd be like, if Rock would win the WWE Championship right now, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think he deserves it for what he's done, helping this rivalry for the last month and a half, 2 months, helping what Roman Reigns should be doing with it, and he hasn't done with it. He's carried more of the tag team load than he has, you know, with anything. Like, the build up with Cody and him, there's only been one interaction. There's been more interactions with Cody and The Rock, which tells me, if Cody does beat Roman, who knows? We could see The Rock and Rock and Cody Rhodes face off, which I would be up to it. The way they had The Rock build up all the way up to WrestleMania. If he was full time, I'd say give him the belt right now. Like, but we're now in a time and place where we don't need the part timing champions. We see enough of it now. Um, but right now, The Rock, it's hard to hate on him when he turns something that, in my opinions, I had low expectations on, and turns it into a masterpiece. Like, this is who The Rock is, you know, and it shows how much of the dedication The Rock has to the wrestling business, still has wrestling to the wrestling business itself, and still helping Cody and Seth get them over, and all of that. Now, as for Solo and Jimmy, that hasn't really worked out for him that much. Um, but as if we're helping Cody and Seth, he's just a 110% good job on that whole storyline. But coming back to it, he talks about how he made Cody bleed last week, which was a real it was a very intense moment, one of the most entertaining chaotic Raws we've ever seen. Um, and The Rock, seeing that their kids are heartbroken, And one of them I already seen on social media that morning, where the kid thought that Cody Rhodes died, and it's like the man's not dead, but like, he hasn't said anything on social media for the last week. So it's like, and you got kids thinking that he's dead. It's like crazy. And then you have one kid thinking or saying that they're not gonna watch Moana anymore, which is like, damn, that heel work really does something, especially with the kids, and the amount of kids I've getting the reaction out of for the shows of Cody Rhodes being the top guy for the children, especially for the children. Um, so he shows them the clip, and he says he was heartbroken, and he told him, when you're a man or when you're an adult, you have to do things that that need to be done, or when people stick their nose in your business or stuff that needs to be done. Um, and he says that, and then says a couple other things that gets the crowd going, which The Rock has always been perfect with getting the crowd going with any situation. Um, and he introduces Roman. Roman comes out with Jimmy and Solo, talking about how pretty much he cut the same promo he did about a week or two ago when he was face to face with Cody, talk about how he's a politician and he's just lucky to be here and he's not ready for the number one spot. Pretty much the same stuff that he's been saying the last couple of months. So which tells me that they're weakening him up for Cody, at least. Um, Now, in the middle of the promo, Seth comes out, um, talks about how, he came in just like the Shield, them thinking that he's going to go through the entranceway, and, well, obviously that wasn't going to work. Seth goes on, and he challenges The Rock to a singles match on the main event of Raw. And Rock's like, nope. Well, he didn't really say no, but, like, he said, you ain't going to fight me or whatever, and then Roman said he wasn't going to fight him, and then Solo pops up, which it had me, you know, it had me gasped for a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, are we getting Roman and Seth tonight? Are we getting Rock and Seth tonight? And then after, it came up to be Solo, it's like, you know what, I can see it. They weren't going to let their two biggest guys get in a match before their, the biggest match, one of the biggest matches of the show. But yet still let Seth do it. But okay. But it was a Bloodline Rules match, so we got to see our first side of the Bloodline Rules. So that's always fun, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But that whole segment, it was good. Yeah, the shots were good. The shot of Seth when the Rock's theme played after the segment happened, like he was like ready to go. Like it was just like the chills, you know, type moment. Um, and you just gotta take that stuff for granted because we have been in a time where WWE has been at its lowest, and guess what? People have still been there, and we've been on the low. The WWE has been on the lowest for a while. This last 2 years, it's just everything has changed with the Vince McMahon leaving, Kevin Dunn leaving. All that. It's bring much more of. It's not even really entertainment anymore. It's just this is what wrestling is. And the stuff like this, when this stuff happens, moments before WrestleMania, the WrestleMania moments, we have to cherish those. Because one thing that came to my mind was during Roman's Reigns entrance, it's like, I of course I want to see Cody Rhodes beat Roman. Like, I think most of us do want that. But there's that little, part of me that's like, man, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready for Roman to lose. I don't know if I'm ready for Roman to, be gone, in a way. Because he's been such a big factor of the last 4 years of WWE. He helped WWE when they needed him the most through that COVID era. And he took that with stride. and he made everything much more better. Um, and we can say whatever we want about Roman Reigns, but down to it, he is one of the greatest of all time. He will always come down as one of the greatest of all time. Um, but you know, just thinking of it, Roman Reigns losing the title, I had the same feeling last year. Before WrestleMania, I had the same feeling last year at WrestleMania when Cody and Roman came in. It's like, yeah, I want to see Cody win, but Roman Reigns, I just couldn't see him losing. It's just a weird world of Roman not having a championship, and we could definitely see it happening at WrestleMania this year. And if he doesn't win, I don't know what's next for him. I really don't know what's next for Cody Rhodes. I really don't know what's next for Roman, because what else? They keep saying, or Paul Heyman can say whatever he wants, that there's so much there's more to add to their story or ending or whatever. But in reality, there's no. They're in the bottom of the ninth. They're heading to the end of this storyline. They're heading to the end of this story for Roman Reigns in the championship. Now, as for The Rock, you can still have him in The Rock, you know, tease something up tease it up, and have a match later down the road, probably at next year's WrestleMania. But depending on how The Rock goes, they might not even want to do the match because of if The Rock looks bad or whatever. Um, but like I said, we're in the ninth. We're in the ninth inning now. There's nothing really much Cody can do to. This is his last chance. They keep saying it's his last chance, and if it is his last chance, it's like oh my god, like what are we gonna do? And with Roman, it's just like, what is he gonna do? He's gonna go away for another 2 months, 3 months, and then he's gonna show up for another title defense, go away for another couple months, show up at SummerSlam. Like, there's nothing you can really do with Roman right anymore, as of with storyline wise. He's done everything with the Bloodline. Of course he's doing stuff with Seth now, and then of course it's Cody. Like, who is really their biggest challenge right now? He handled AJ and LA Knight and Randy. Um, Bobby, maybe. Um, if you would have thought at the end of the draft last year, you would have thought Bobby would have gotten his shot, but of course Bobby didn't get his shot. Um, Hell, they build someone up like a Braun Breaker, maybe. Like, there's a very limited amount of people that you could put on there, and there's a very limited amount of people that you could say is worthy enough to face Roman Reigns. Because right now with Roman Reigns, it's not just he faces whoever he wants. You have to be worthy to face him. Like, you have to have that power to you. That's why LA Knight got it, because he was so powerful last year that they took that AJ Styles took a couple months off. Looks better than ever, by the way. And LA Knight got his moment against Roman Reigns because he had the power. Cody Rhodes, he had so much power that he got into this year's WrestleMania, even though he gave it to The Rock. Like, they had to pivot because on how big Cody Rhodes was getting and how much everyone wanted Cody Rhodes to face Roman Reigns again. Hell, if there's any more power, you gotta go CM Punk, but I don't see that happening for at least another 2 years. 1 to 2 years max. Because with the tricep injury, plus you got, he's got a feud with Drew, he's got a feud with Seth, maybe another one with maybe one with Cody. But, going on to, next for Roman, I don't know. If he retains, I don't know what's next for him. As if he loses, I could see him retiring, taking time off, and all that, and Cody Rhodes would be a great champion. So, but that is just one way to think of it. Match quality overall this on Monday Night Raw was not the greatest. I'm just gonna get away with the matches now. We had about 5 to 6 matches tonight. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, we had 5 matches. No, it was 6 matches. And the match quality, or the matches were all right. There wasn't nothing special. Um, you could feel that this was a build-up show to WrestleMania. There wasn't gonna be no really big wrestling happening. Um, so I'm just gonna get the wrestling stuff out of the way. New Day and DIY face Judgment Day. It was an alright match. Nothing really big special happening. They did announce that the winner, for the tag title ladder match, you need to get both sets of titles to win, which means pretty much what they're telling us is one team is gonna get one title side, one team's get the other, and if you both teams get, or if one team gets both, they get to keep both of them. But most likely, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see one team take one side, the other team's gonna take the other side. Which, if that's the case, I see DIY taking the SmackDown titles, and I see Damian Priest and Finn Balor taking the Raw titles. That's the way I see it. There's no other really way to put it. Grayson Waller theory, maybe that'd be a shock. That'd be an upset in a lot of ways for WrestleMania. Um, another. And I don't see the Miz and Truth winning anything. Now, let's be real here. I talked about it last week. I said the Miz needs to go to TNA, build himself, a structure to where, you know, he could feel like he's the number one guy again, because he ain't nowhere near number one guy right now in WWE. That's just facts. I feel the same way with Natalia. Um, there's a couple others I could probably put, not right now, but like in a list and be like TNA, AEW. They could build their ways over there. But Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed, that was a pretty solid match. Bronson Reed beat him last week. Sami Zayn needed to get redemption, and there was a beautiful video package of Chad Gable training Sami Zayn for the match against Gunther at WrestleMania, which involved just pretty much all of Gunther's weaknesses they had to do. And they stopped because Sammy was just like trying to hurt, thinking that he was, going to get hurt for his match. And has doubt about it. And they had like this freaking High School Musical type music in the background. And, he comes out and Chad Gable's just like, you needed to hear that no one could beat you, that you couldn't beat him. So apparently that's what he needed to hear. But coming into the real of it, the way they're building this whole thing up, I could see Sami Zayn beating Gunther. The problem is, there's just one guy in particular that I feel like that should truly beat Gunther. And it's not Sammy, it's not Chad Gable, it's Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov and Gunther have had their history in NXT. Gunther lost the NXT UK Championship to Ilya Dragunov. They've had some of the best matches I know they're going to Bash to Berlin later in the year. If you want that crowd to go nuts, put Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther in there. And one of the ideas that I have is put Ilya Dragunov in Imperium. Have him be have Gunther be the mentor for Ilya Dragunov. And it doesn't sound right, but when you get into it, it's like, it could help, see what we can get into this. And then Ilya Dragunov soon, gets a hold of Gunther, and boom, then you have the Bash of Berlin match, and then boom, that's when Ilya Dragunov defeats Gunther. Because no one thinks he could beat him, but if there's one man that can beat him, it's Ilya Dragunov. Now, if plans have changed and Sami Zayn does somehow beat Gunther, I'm all up for it. It'd be a big moment for Sami Zayn. It would leave question marks for what's going to happen to Chad Gable. I do see I do see him potentially trying to turn heel at WrestleMania or whenever, because he did lose to Chad or to Sami Zayn, so there's gonna be some resentment there. Um, but who knows? Like, who knows what's gonna? It's just been this whole build up to WrestleMania has been crazy, and people have said that this year's WrestleMania build up has been not great or whatever. But the thing is, they said the same thing about last year's WrestleMania. They've said that the build up was weak, none of the matches seemed entertaining, and guess what happened? They fucking banged on night one and partial night two. Um, and to now, with we're not in the Vince McMahon era anymore. That's what people need to get out of their minds. We're not into the entertainment side of this thing. We're not gonna see silly, stupid gimmicks and masks. No offense to Rey Mysterio, but like, or Adam Rose type bullshit every week. We're getting professional wrestling at its finest. We're getting that indie style type that we see from Gargano every week. We start getting the indie type style that that you see from Adam Cole when he was in the NXT days. You'd see that stuff over there, and hell, we've been. You want to talk about an indie style match? You had JD McDonough and Ricochet last week. That match reminded me of an AEW match because of how they were going. You know, and guess what? The problem is people are gonna cheer for that, but still hate on AEW for doing the exact same thing. The storylines for both aren't the best, or the build ups, like, they're okay, they're good. You know, if you have a real sports, if you have a guy that's been there in the business forever, like Rock, or make it entertaining. Yeah, they can make it entertaining for you. Because that's what they're there for. The entertainment side will always be there in wrestling. But the professional wrestling side, we're getting into an era where professional wrestling actually means something in WWE. Because for a long time it didn't. It was all about stories and, your 5-minute match, squash match, and all that, and you weren't getting much of anything. Now, I feel like we're slowly getting into that way with where NXT went in the early days of NXT, in the late 2010s. I feel like we're getting into that era, but with much more bigger stakes ahead. Much more bigger things to come ahead with it. And especially because you have Triple H and Shawn Michaels working with it to be, with NXT and all that type stuff, That's just one thing to think about. It's just, right now is a great time to be a wrestling fan. If you're an AEW fan, if you're a WWE fan, TNA and New Japan, I'm questionable on those right now, because right now they're hitting a stump. But right now is the best. It's the best time to be a wrestling fan, and people need to cherish it more than just to hate on the attendance record or what the rating was. Because last time I checked, none of them people make the money. The people who are making fun of AEW for whatever, they're not making the money. The ones that are bragging about WWE getting it, like, you ain't getting their money either. It's okay to like a separate brand that's not WWE. Trust me, it was weird when I started watching AEW. It was fucking weird as hell. I didn't want to watch it because I didn't know anybody. I seen Chris Jericho's there. I seen CM Punk was there. I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'll get into it then. And boom, look, I am a couple years later, and I'm trying to defend it as much as I do with WWE. And people can come back and say, well, you don't defend WWE as much. Well, there's no reason to. WWE is the best it is in years. The best it's ever been, in my opinion. But when it comes to all qualities, except for the women's mid-card division. That's the only lack that you could say of what the problem is right now with there. But with AEW, the whole CM Punk situation fucked everything up, which I'll get into that because he had an interview with Ariel Helwani today or yesterday, which I'll get into all that here in a little bit. But with AEW, they lost Punk, and yes, it's a big blow to the chest because it's CM Punk, one of the best of all time, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. And they still somehow, in return, got Adam Copeland, Edge slash Edge, Sasha Banks slash Mercedes Moné, and Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay. You can't tell me that's one hell of a fucking, package right there. You lose Punk, but you get them four. And people will say whatever they want about Will Ospreay or Okada or Edge or whatever, but they're all on their high level right now. They're all in the best, some of the best wrestlers there. And I feel like a lot of the hate for AEW is forced because of the whole CM Punk situation. And of course the fan base. Oh god, I hate 90% of the fan base. But you can't let a fan base ruin your fun. That's the one thing that comes with AEW. You can't let WWE fan ruin your time of being an AEW fan. You can't let a WWE fan ruin your time, or an AEW fan ruin your time being a WWE fan. Because let's be real, both sides, both fan bases are toxic. Both fan bases are fucking stupid. I'll say 90% of them are. The other 10% like both companies and are chill. The rest of them, I can't stand them. Because it's the toxic tribalism, whatever you call it on Twitter. And then you got the old heads on podcasters, which I'm not an old head, I'm only 18, talking their way with it, which you should know who I'm talking about at this point. Talk about attendance and all that. It would be the attendance thing and ratings, they only care about it when it fits their narrative. That's the thing. They only bring, and I'll even bring up the old head podcasters too. They only bring stuff up like that to fit their narrative. Because if it didn't fit their narrative, guess what? They would have tried to find an excuse on why not to like it. And the two that I'm thinking of shouldn't really be talking because both of them had took down companies of their own. One of them helped end a company, and the other one had to go down because he wasn't getting attendance or money wasn't going in right. So I don't really want to hear about either one of them two talking about how AEW is or likes, because they couldn't take it up as bookers either, or owners, or whatever you want to call it. So that's just the way I think about it. If you have a problem with it, I don't care. But one thing I'm not going to let happen is toxic come through me and my love for wrestling. That toxic side could stay in the back door. That could stay in the back. Because I ain't going to have it. I used to be like that, and guess what? It ruined my fun time or having any fun time of being a wrestling fan. But one of the main things is just, you got to give AEW more credit than what they deserve. Or you got to give them more credit. Because nobody gives them credit. Nobody gives them any credit. Unless you're, a fan, part of the fan base. And if you don't want to give them credit, fine, don't give them credit. But when you're not watching the shows, but you see stuff on the internet, don't fucking talk shit. Because you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening. If you didn't watch it, go fuck yourself. If you didn't watch it, you have no say or you don't have an opinion on it. If you have watched it and see what's going on, then you have a 100% opinion on it. Other than that, go fuck off, please. But funny how every time I get onto these videos, I slid onto another thing and I talk about 15 minutes about some bullshit. That's just the enjoy of me of having my opinion of wrestling. Because by God, Twitter ain't helping anything. But we're gonna get into it. Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, it was a good match. Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile versus Indy Hartwell versus Candice LeRae. I think we're all aware about what's been happening with Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile. The stuff that's been happening. The one time when she got booed in a live event, everyone told her that not to come back. And then of course Candice LeRae, they got a boot on Candice LeRae on her heel turn, getting her that push. I talked about it all last week. Go check it out. Um, and of course, Indy Hartwell is, being the innocent ones. Like, why are you being so mean to these people? Well, they found out tonight as they have a tag team match, and Indy Hartwell or Candice LeRae is trying to help her, get in, win. Like she's trying to help, any way she can, and Indy Hartwell is just distracted and is like, well, I'm not gonna cheat to win or whatever. Like, because it was a part where Candice LeRae pushed Ivy Nile off the top rope. Okay, well, we've seen heels do it all the time. Indy Hartwell, on the other hand, did not like it, so she had to, confront her about it. And next thing you know, Maxine Dupree pins Indy Hartwell. And you could see the embarrassment on Indy Hartwell's face about that. Which could tell you, because I noticed how Candice LeRae, she started turning heel after she got pinned in the tag title match. And then Indy Hartwell, she lost, got pinned, see how that feels. And then next thing you know, I could see the heel turn coming. I could just see it. It has to be right there. And I'm all up for it. But the problem is they don't give enough money. They don't give enough of their time to the mid-card women's division. Let's be honest. Indy Hartwell right now is in the mid-card level. Even though the talent-wise doesn't say that. The talent-wise says, okay, these guys should be main eventers. But it's the way they're booked. They're mid-card right now. They're in the mid-card, trying to get whatever is best. But they need to give them women time. That's one of the things that I know I made a post or a video in September about the women's division, and I have admitted that the women's division has changed a lot in that, time frame. But the main event women, they get their time. They get their time and everything and going. We need to get that mid card going. And the tag team division, it's just rotten. There's nothing there for it anymore, in my opinion. It's stale. There's no use for it. And people have this argument of a mid-card division. That would be the best thing for them right now, is a mid-card division. Because we've seen some of the best performers in this business go from mid-card to world championship level in a heartbeat. We've seen it with Shawn Michaels. We've seen it with Razor Ramon, even though he never held a world championship. He was, getting his moments in there with the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Christian, Edge. I can go Rey Mysterio. I can go on and on of people who have held mid-card championship, and then, because then once you win that mid-card championship, that's how you know that you're next up to be that, that future champion. Hell, I read documentaries all the time about the Magnum TA story, where he, and back then, if you win the U.S. title, after that, you know that you're getting that world title shot. That's how it should be for anything when it comes to wrestling. If you get your mid-card shot, you should, but if you lose it down the road, you should get your full shot at the world title. Or get your rematch, and if you lose the rematch, you don't get your world title shot or whatever, because you lost your rematch. You get to pick the rematch, or you get the world title shot. Either one. It's a reward / downfall. It could go either way, the way you want it. That's just the way I feel like how it should go, especially if they have the women's mid-card division. Because people like Indy Hartwell, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Asuka at this point of her career, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, they can thrive. Tiffany Stratton, even though she's a main event level talent already, in my opinion, imagine what she could do with a mid-card championship and be going down, whatever, She could be, in my opinion, Tiffany Stratton's next Shawn Michaels when it comes to the women. She's flashy. She's, she has her personal, her style, which she's a good wrestler. She's a very good wrestler. It's just how flashy she is. That's just what Shawn Michaels is a flashy motherfucker who didn't give no damn. And Tiffany Stratton is a flashy motherfucker who don't give no damn. So, Um, but that's just really what I think about it. Um, but um, next up, Ricochet faced Ivar, and that match was actually very good. No surprise here. Ricochet, bringing up another banger. Ivar hanging up another banger. I talked about how much Ivar needed respect last week because it's Ivar. Um, for a long time, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. For a long time, I did not, I didn't see the hype around Ricochet. I did not know I never watched his NXT days. So if it's because of the NXT days, I understand because I could see where it's all coming from now. Um, but for a long time, I didn't see what the hype was about him. I just thought he was just another wrestler on the roster, making another dime, another day, another dollar, And then these last couple of weeks, he has just taken himself to a whole new level of style. Um, he is the match they had with JD on Monday last week, perfect. Um, one of the best matches that we've seen last week. Which, speaking, I will have a video, or well, I'm not gonna do a video, but I'll make an announcement at the end of the show. But Ricochet, he's slowly becoming one of those guys that I could be like, when he comes in, he's gonna have a good match, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with Triple H on how good he is with booking the show and knowing his people's talents. You don't want to use their weaknesses because if you use their weaknesses, then you're just gonna show that they're not that good. But if you show them their talents, they're gonna thrive. You know. Um, and then of course Ivar, another underrated talent who, it sucks that he got to the singles way because of a tag team partner getting injured, but right, it's been the best thing for Ivar. Like he wasn't really doing nothing up until Eric did get hurt. It's just unfortunate how everything panned out. But unfortunately, it's one of those things where in every tag team, every tag team, you see one main eventer, and then you see the guy that's just, you're not ready to put in the main event yet. We see it with every tag team. You can't, deny that. But Damage Control faced Tegan Knox, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler. That was just another short match. Nothing really special. They're getting ready for their match. I believe they have one at WrestleMania. I do believe they do have one at WrestleMania. Against Bianca, Naomi, and Jade Cargill, who made the one of the best debuts for WWE wrestler. You could just show that she has it. She has the money. She is the money. And I could see her being world champion or women's champion by the end of this year. I could see it. It's just she has money all over her. And then the main event was Seth Rollins versus Solo Sikoa. That one, it was a pretty good match. The table spots were cool. When Seth went to go do that powerbomb through the table, when he flipped him over, tried to do a sunset flip, it gave me it gave me a fucking flashback. It gave me like Vietnam War type flashbacks. Because when he did it, the same thing to Kane, hurt his knee. When he did that, I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking... Like, every time he does it now, it's just like, oh no, that knee, my knee, If someone knows the Aaron Rodgers clip, my knee, It's just that type of, my knee, Shitty joke, my bad. And in the end of the show, or near the end of the show, Bloodline gets involved, which is probably what we're going to see in the preview for WrestleMania. And, Jimmy takes him out. Jay comes out. He takes him out. Rock takes out Jay. His own blood, blood. And then Cody comes out. He wasn't even supposed to be there, and he comes out. And then Roman takes him out, takes them both out, and they start whipping him with the belt Rock brought, which was the American Nightmare belt. It was just chaos through that last couple of minutes of the show. And, I was expecting somebody to come out, and because the two people that I expect to see in the next week is John Cena and Stone Cold. And the reason I think that is, well, Solo took out Cena. So we haven't seen Cena since, what was it, October, November of last year. And we seen, and we all know that Stone Cold doesn't like bosses, and we know how it is with The Rock. And The Rock said something at the early of the build up, talking about that he doesn't lose twice or whatever. And the one person that I can recall that he's lost twice to at WrestleMania was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I could that's just two of the people that I see. I could see it happening. If it does happen, I'm gonna fucking pop. If it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be a little bit surprised. But one thing for sure is I do, one thing I have a gripe about is with when you come into those matches where people get involved. I've seen, and I'll give it a couple examples. The match with Adam Cole and Jericho last year at Double or Nothing. They came in, and you didn't even know, at the start, you didn't even know who the hell was fighting. Like, was it a tag team, or what? You didn't know who was fighting. Same thing happened with Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston at the end of their build in 2022 in the with the barbed wire stuff. Sammy Guevara and all them get involved, and it's just a shit show. And you don't know who's really fighting, and to me, it really pissed me off at that time. And I don't want to see that type of thing happen with Cody and Roman. I really don't, because I think I think Cody's gonna lose night one. I think Cody and Seth are losing night one. But I think the realistic thing it should happen is they should do what happened to last night on Raw. Seth Cody and Roman go at it because the match is going to be easily 30 minutes long. So for the first 30 minutes, or 20 minutes, they're going at it with each other. Next 20 to 25, 20 to 20, 25, 30, you start slowly getting them going. And then next thing you know, all hell breaks loose right after 30. 30 minutes comes in, boom. Just hell breaks loose for another couple of minutes. Stone Cold comes out, Cena comes out. They have their their big pop. They all leave. But then you miss one person. One person tries to take Cody out. You have a re-scene of what happened last year. My thing is Cody gets spiked. Roman comes up, does a spear. You go 1, 2, kick out. The crowd should go nuts. The crowd would go nuts if that happened. And then Roman tries to do it again. Cody reverses right into a crossroads. 1, 2, 3 wins. But I think one of the main things that could happen is I think we could see The Rock turn on Roman. We could see it. I don't know. It would set up a build up for them next year at WrestleMania. So that would be one way to settle it. But that's all for the Monday Night Raw review side of things. Couple things to cover off first. Number 1. Oh shit, I forgot. Okay, I'm gonna get on with number 1 first. Number 1, gaming channel is starting up soon. It'll be called X Factor Gaming. You comment down below what kind of game I should play or whatever, and I will post highlights, or I will have a full-on video / stream about it, or me playing it, and then, of course, the highlights will be posted on the Twitter, the TikTok, and the, of course, the YouTube channel, which would be the YouTube gaming channel. And it's the main thing is just to help the X Factor brand that I'm building up. But that is just one thing I had to cover off here. First, next thing, CM Punk. CM Punk had an interview. We're going to talk about it. I think one of the things we need to cover off is he, how do I say this? He lit one in AEW. Let's be real. He lit one in AEW, a big one, a huge one, massive one. Lit one big one right into AEW in this interview. And you can't even say, you can't even blame him either, because for months we've been hearing so much about what has happened in the last couple of months, or in the last month coming up into, you know, to his final days of AEW. Start off with, the Hangman Adam Page situation. Apparently, him and Punk, they had it all scheduled out, because because in WWE, some people need writers, some people don't want writers, some people want them, some people don't want them, some people need them, some people don't need them. And them two sat down, talked about everything that they were gonna say, and what they're gonna, or like, hey, I'm gonna say this, well then I'm gonna come back and say this moments. And Hangman comes out and he says nothing that they even talked about. And Punk was confused on why, because he had to switch up everything. Unprofessional. It was very unprofessional. And then coming up to it, afterwards, Hangman expressed that something about Cole Cabana being fired, or whatever, and then of course Punk went over to Tony Khan and says, "Handle it." Tony Khan didn't handle it. All In happens, and then Punk asked for his release. Punk asked to be released at the end of that, and no one wanted him there, which you could tell that not many people did want him there. At the start, I'm pretty sure everyone was thrilled to have him there. But then you realize what he's about, and he ain't about to make wrestling look like a mockery. And I felt like, and he didn't want drama. I think one of the big things, he didn't want drama. I will say there have been times where AEW has made a mockery of wrestling, but I feel like every company has done that in their past. WWE has, AEW has, TNA has, WCW, ECW. Like, every company in the world has had some humiliation, stuff that mocked, or that wasn't good for professional wrestling. We've seen it with everybody. One, he wanted to get released. He didn't get released because they wanted to put him on AEW Collision. He didn't want it because he didn't like the way that, it was all, splitting everyone up. It wasn't going to help nobody. And the funny thing about the whole thing is, for months, everybody said that it was CM Punk's fault and why everyone had to get split. Everyone was saying that CM Punk was the reason why everyone got banned from Collision. That wasn't the case, according to CM Punk. He talked about it. Nobody asked his side of the story. They asked everybody else who was involved, and they made Punk look like a shitty person. And the whole thing with AEW happens, and then of course Jack Perry. We talked about that. We know what happened. Jack Perry got mad because he couldn't use a rental car for an angle, because apparently what they did is they show up, they do their match, plus they do a bunch of vignettes, and then they stay home for a couple of weeks. Which, okay, we've seen some people do. It's just different way on how people do stuff. And then, but the one thing is, Punk wasn't gonna let a rental car, someone go, with the glass and rental car, because they could be like, well, don't rent rental cars to professional wrestlers. Stuff like that can happen. Some of it probably has happened before. And of course Jack Perry gets mad about it, he was all calm to Punk about it, and next thing you know, we all know what happens. He gets the Crimey River. Punk, is like, why are you doing it? Whatever. And Jack Perry, being all the tough person he thinks he is, and then Punk said he choked him. He said he didn't even punch him. He choked him a little, which should tell you that how much he actually did choke him, probably. Which is funny. And then, of course, he looked at Tony Khan, called him a clown, said this place is a fucking joke, and he said he quit. And to me, I can't blame him for quitting. You know, that whole situation was messy. Tony Khan took it poorly. The Elite took it poorly. They should have had it all, the beef all squashed up and everything, and ready, and ready to go. And they did it. They handled the whole thing poorly, in my opinion. Which I said it even when Punk got fired, when I had the whole rant about it. Um, so that is just one way to look at the whole situation. Um, but we're months off that now. AEW's at its best. WWE is at its best. And all wrestling fans should do right now is cherish the moment that we're having, because when those moments go away and wrestling's back to shitty, if it ever does go back, well, it'll go back to, at some point, If wrestling never goes to the way it used to be, you got to cherish those good moments that you had with, everything. And then, who knows, maybe 10, 20 years from now, you'd be like, damn, I really miss WC or AEW or whatever. I really just call them WCW. Damn. But in my opinion, they are kind of like WCW. But I think they're just better than WCW, in my opinion. Um, but that is it for today. Not really much left to tell you, go. I had a good Easter. I had a good April Fool's Day. I enjoyed family. Um, Weight loss journey starts, so that's also a beautiful thing to know or to start with. That ain't an April Fool's joke. I actually am starting a weight loss journey for starting now or starting today. So I hope you all stay blessed. Have a good day. Enjoy life, cause just enjoy it. It's just time to be alive right now in all aspects of the world right now. And go Iowa, go Iowa. They are now in the Final Four for women's basketball. So go Iowa. Have a blessed day. See y'all later.